The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to my State of Mind. I am Dan Yorke. The Supreme Court is the buzz of the country right now. It is both tragic and, well, you fill in the blank with the rest, with the loss of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The ideology, the philosophy, the judicial perspective of Justice Ginsburg aside, there's no doubt that she's left a legacy here. And while she is still to be honored by lying in state, the scurry to replace her is moving at warp speed. The president is down to a couple of nominees. Will announce on the same day this weekend that Justice Ginsburg lies in state. If that feels uncomfortable to you, congratulations. You still have human sentiment. In the meantime, the politics and the power of all of this need to be evaluated. Rich Arenberg is a professor from Brown University and the Watson Institute and a longtime expert on the Senate. He's my guest tonight, and he'll join us momentarily. First, here's the network's take on the latest at press time on this really dramatic story.
Final preparations were finished yesterday outside the Supreme Court, where Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg will lie in repose today and tomorrow.
It was important for us to come down and have our children see what an impact that she has made.
Next door at the Capitol, Republicans are confident they have the votes to fill the vacancy she leaves behind.
We will certainly do that this year.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell was asked if he understood why many Americans view the vote as a double standard after he blocked President Obama's nominee in 2016.
I can only repeat that we have an obligation under the Constitution, should we choose to take advantage of it.
President Trump says he'll announce his nominee this Saturday. He met with one frontrunner, Judge Amy Coney Barrett, for the second straight day yesterday. And he'll meet with another top contender, Judge Barbara Lagoa, in Florida on Friday.
Now we're going to pick an incredible woman, brilliant woman, and watch the abuse that she will take.
Senate Democrats say their GOP colleagues should not be rubber stamping a Supreme Court justice.
You are setting a horrible precedent.
And what an extraordinary thing to already know how you're going to vote on a nominee who has not yet been nominated.
Only 2 Republicans have voiced opposition to holding the nominating process this close to the election.
And so with our state of mind just constantly changing when it comes to things COVID, Washington, and the rest, we bring in Rich Arenberg, my specialist when it comes to the Senate. Decades of experience working in the U.S. Senate, now at of course, Brown University and the Watson Institute, and his various titles are just getting too long this summer to keep up with, but he's my go-to guy. Professor, all is well in Brown land, I hope?
Absolutely, right.
The week has been it's been historic. It's been sad. I think the country has forgotten how to be sad. I think the country knows how to be mad. Doesn't know how to be sad. I mean, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her life and her legacy, despite what you may think about philosophy and judicial, viewpoint, is incredibly profound. So before we begin the evaluation of what the Senate is doing this week, what are your thoughts on her life and legacy?
Yeah. Well, I think she is clearly, in my judgment, one of the very small handful of greatest Supreme Court justices in our history. Because of the tremendous impact she's had, particularly on women's rights, but on a whole host of important issues over the years she's been on the court. Really has been the leader of the, what's often characterized as the more liberal wing of the court. And so this is it's a profound loss for the country. It's a particularly important loss for progressives. One thing I would point out is she herself, in the way she conducted herself over the many years she was on the court, is someone who showed a very different set of values than that herself, in that she had very famously had a very close relationship with Justice Scalia before he died, who was, clearly the most conservative member of the court, and at least professionally, in terms of the opinions and so forth, they were often at very extreme odds with each other, and yet the personal relationship was very positive, and I think that holds also with other members of the court with whom she didn't disagree, but understood that they were also valuable people who held their values strongly as well.
She lies in state this weekend.
Right.
There's Jewish tradition for her funeral / burial processes on Saturday, and the president says he's going to nominate on Saturday. I mean, where are we, man? Where are we? And why isn't anybody stepping up? I understand Donald Trump doesn't have any of these sensibilities. I get that. But where's the rest of the country to just say, wait a second, hold, I'm not even talking about the nomination and filling the pre-election. We'll get to that in our next segment. But where is the compassion and just the humanness in the country right now? You have a thought on that, or are you just as perplexed about it as I am?
It's a very, it's a valid observation, I think. I mean, I like to, I'm an optimistic person, and I like to hope that we'll come out of these this dark period we're in right now. I think the pandemic plays into this, into these the attitudes that you're talking about, simply in that I think many people are really kind of worn down by the unlimited, normal. I'm searching for the word. Unnormal is not a word, but people. I think obviously we all want to get back to our normal lives, and we're in a very unusual place right now, and with problems in the economy, with people having lost jobs, housing insecurity, not to mention the health concerns, the public health concerns, the social justice demonstrations, the concern about violence that's been stoked by the president. All of these things, I think, are kind of piling up, and I think it has weakened the resilience for a lot of people, and I think maybe that's reflected in some of the lack of compassion that we see.
Maybe it's.
And on the other hand, we've talked many times before about how extremely polarized our political culture is right now. Who would have ever thought that whether or not to wear a mask in a pandemic would become a huge political issue?
I know. It's. I wrote about that just the other day. That something which seems so instrumentally common sense in the middle of what we're dealing with would become political. Well, we know why, because the president won't do it. The president refuses, and there's a base out there that has got this feeding thing that goes back and forth, where they validate him, he validates him, and it's really about validation of each other as opposed to what makes any sense. When we come back, let's talk about the Senate itself and what's going on here, because this has been a week in reaction to the passing of Justice Ginsburg. Back with Rich Arenberg on My State of Mind when we return. Stay with us. Back with Rich Arenberg from Brown University and the Watson Institute. Decades of experience working in the U.S. Senate, and he's my go-to guy for the Senate. All right, look, the Senate confirms, and it looks like they're going to race ahead and make a confirmation here for one of two leading players that Donald Trump is going to put up. We'll talk about the nominees in a second. But the process was part of a significant debate on Monday and Tuesday. You're watching the show on Wednesday, folks, and we're recording it on Tuesday, so things may have shifted a little, but it looks like most Republicans are, other than Murkowski and the senator from Maine, I think the two of them are the only holdouts, which is not enough for Democrats to stop this. What do you make of Mitch McConnell's argument that, hey, listen, in 2016, we said we don't nominate even 230 days in front of an election because we want the people to have a choice in the next administration to be able to run its road. Now it's all about, oh, well, we were Republicans and he was a Democrat. This time we're both on the same. That was never mentioned in 2016. What kind of stunt is this?
Yeah, well, don't get lost in all of that. I mean, this is about power. And in both instances, in 2016 and again now, the Republicans in the Senate were in a position to do what they did, and they did it. What they did to Merrick Garland was unprecedented and outrageous. He was President Obama's nominee to the court, and they stonewalled him. They never even gave him a hearing. They made clear they were never going to consider it. That was in February, about 9 months before the election. And they said in an election year, people should, the voters should make the decision. But that was just really a fig leaf they put over just a blatant power grab. They controlled the Senate at the time, and they decided that they could make that stand for 9 months and that they just would not move on that nomination. And then if a Republican won the election, as Trump did, then they would be able to fill that seat. So instead of a 4-5-4 court with the more liberal judges in ascendancy, it's been the other way around, because they were able to put first Gorsuch and then Kavanaugh on the court. Now this one will make it 6-3. It will mean that there'll no longer be just a single swing justice. So even if they can convince Roberts, who's often been the swing on an issue, the conservatives will continue to have the advantage.
Well, let me ask you this. Look, the Constitution is clear. The president has every legal right to do this, and the Senate has every legal right to step up. What's more important to you as an academician and as a person who teaches, on the Constitution, teaches on the U.S. Senate? What's more important to you, the culture of the Senate and the consistency of say 16 to 20 in what's going on, being broken, or just the strict adherence to the Constitution, no matter what? What rules the day for you?
Well, certainly in the final analysis, the Constitution rules the day. And I hate to always be dragging you into the weeds, but in some ways, this is all about the filibuster rule in the Senate, which was changed. It actually wasn't changed. It was reinterpreted with respect to judicial nominations. And that's why the Republicans can do whatever they want to do. Just they have the keys to the bulldozer. Because up until 2017, in a circumstance where it was they were acting in a blatant, unfair manner, the minority would have the recourse of slowing things down, of saying, you know, we've got the filibuster, we want to continue to talk about that. Kavanaugh, for example, I think pretty clearly would never have been confirmed if the filibuster were still available. And it's not that I'm all about blocking judicial nominees, but the importance of having that threshold, that filibuster threshold, which meant you needed 60 votes to get a Supreme Court nominee through. It meant that presidents had to think somewhat about the minority when they made the nomination, and often consulted. Joe Biden said it the other day. I mean, he's a longtime senator. He was chairman of the Judiciary Committee. He's been through this sort of thing. He said it the other day. If he were making this nomination, he would consult with senators of both parties. He would make the decision in the end, but there'd be some consultation and probably some moderation, because presidents historically had to be concerned about getting some support across the aisle to get their nominees confirmed.
Well, but now there's, so what you're saying is there's no structure for that. Now it's just you know, Joe Biden says he wants to reach across the aisle. That's a volunteer effort. It's not structurally mandated.
Anytime the president controls you have a president in the White House and his party controls the Senate, he's in complete command.
Yeah.
As Trump has been, you know, he's appointed over 200 federal judges, including, I think it's now 53 or 54 circuit court judges, which is probably the most important level of all in many ways.
Right. So when we come back, I want to talk about what if Joe Biden wins? What if the Democrats grab the Senate? What could happen here with Rich Arenberg when we come back on My State of Mind? Stay with us. My final segment with Professor Rich Arenberg from Brown University and the Watson Institute. So, look, there's no doubt that we're going to get you know, one of two female nominees. Donald Trump has said that's what he's looking at. Amy Coney Barrett and Barbara Lagoa are the leading candidates. Lagoa, a Latina, and Barrett, a Catholic. And you know, we can get into that as we get closer to the nomination, Professor. We'll talk about, you know, the interesting nature, and of course the pro-life issue is just in the middle of this whole thing. The abortion issue is in the middle of this whole thing. This is a let's do a real quick answer if you can. Roe v. Wade is in jeopardy right now, no doubt about it. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
As is the Affordable Care Act.
Okay, Affordable Care Act, Roe v. Wade. Republicans would say, yeah, don't worry about it. You know, Roe v. Wade is all it's going to do is throw it back to the states. And we lose the Affordable Care Act, it's just going to throw it back to the states for their responsibility to provide, you know, coverage for pre-existing conditions and whatever, you know, abortion rights a state wants to offer, the states will have to take care of that. What's so bad with that thinking, if at all?
Well, I mean, we can see what a considerable number of states. I mean, if you're someone who believes that a woman should have the choice, that she has the right to control her own body. If that's your belief, then it's a great tragedy for women, particularly women of who don't have the resources to be, you know. If you're wealthy, you can fly to New York or Massachusetts or Rhode Island or someplace which is more likely to protect abortion rights. But if you're a poor woman and you're in a state like Texas or Missouri or Alabama, you can make it. It's very clear that those states they erect as many obstacles to abortion as they possibly can.
Yeah, it's going to be, you know, Roe v. Wade gets overturned. The personality, the character, the complexion of each state is, you know, on this particular matter, is going to be instrumental in the quality of life of Americans. No doubt.
Know, the central thing on the Affordable Care Act, which is Obamacare for people who know it, by that term, is this question of pre-existing conditions. The president keeps saying he'll defend them, but he's in court before the Supreme Court trying to invalidate that law which protects people with pre-existing conditions. So if that law goes, that protection will go. And if you're someone, as millions of people are someone with a pre-existing condition, you may find yourself in a position where you can't get health insurance, or it's so costly that it's beyond your means to purchase it.
Yeah, state legislatures will have to step up in the middle of that. Real quick, any chance, and we'll talk about this more as the election gets closer, any chance that Joe Biden wins this election and the Senate gets turned, ever so slightly, what's the reaction by the Democrats? Do they try to grow the Supreme Court? I only have a minute or so, but is that what they try to do?
There are two threats that some Democrats are making. One is to increase the size of the court so that they can change the ideological slant of the court. The other one is statehood for the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. If both were to receive statehood, then that's very likely, at least where the politics are now, very likely 4 additional Democratic senators.
On both sides of the aisle, it really is about power and tactic at this juncture. I don't know. We are living through a time. There's no doubt about it. I've never really understood that we're living through a time in history while I'm in it, but there's no doubt we are living through a time in history. No doubt, Rich, right?
That's right. I think that's right.
It's going to be crazy between now and November. And we will check in with you, I'm sure, at least a couple of times before Election Day. Thank you so much for your
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Rich Arenberg, Brown University. Final word when we come back on My State of Mind. Stay with us. As this drama for the Supreme Court vacancy continues, we shall keep on it, both here and on the radio, weekdays 3 till 6 on WPRO. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.